I think what's really special about your work is that you always challenge boundaries and you use your knowledge from different disciplines to every discipline you work in. How can you advise younger artists or younger architects to follow that path of being constantly curious and taking in any knowledge you get to produce work that's like non-existent right now?
I think your question is exactly on spot. I mean, the key criteria or quality is novelty, because and now the world is a big race. It's a battlefield of who is doing something different for the first time. And I think novelty can only be achieved through novelty. I mean, not somebody who's just doing crazy stuff and saying I'm the first person, but novelty with good foundation and depth can only be achieved from the edges of knowledge. So if you're an artist and you want to do something unheard of, you better actually have a botanist friend or a biologist or a neurologist or a brain surgeon or an archeologist or geologist. And for me, I think the edges of knowledge are the most fertile grounds for new discovery. Art is going to be, and architecture is facing now a major challenge, because it's just no more rules. You can do anything and everybody's doing everything, and the number of artists now on earth is like unheard of. Basically, I grew up to notice that I'm interested in landscape. Land means earth and means stones, environment and plants, and also shapes and shadows and wind and rain and all the elements of a landscape. I'm also interested in land in the scientific, because later when I started to study architecture, I started to also be interested in anthropology and archeology, which gave me tools to look at the landscape and read the landscape in a deeper way. And I'm still learning, because I think I'm extremely obsessed with how we use our eyes and how we use our brain. You produce a work of art, you are lending that apparatus to the viewer. I use the memory somehow, and the memory is a beautiful filter, because your brain retains the most powerful, and memory is already an abstraction, and then only let my brain distill the essence. So when I paint a landscape, I'm constructive, which is not real. I don't want it to be real. This is my landscape and my world. It's not the real world.
What's so special about Jordan's landscape relative or compared to other landscapes around the world?
I think the most exciting to me that it's a landscape that has a lot of secrets, that piles and piles or pages and pages of unidentified or undocumented and undiscovered pieces of information. So it's a very, very thick book, all preserved in that landscape and hardly documented. I mean, if you drive within an hour, you can be the first person to document something.